anybody in the last 6 months when I became a minister. Even though I have some budget in my office, it's not my money, it's government's money. I never buy lunch for anybody. This is the first luncheon that I have ever hosted for such a big group. In honor for women, compensate for ladies. Because whenever I have lunch meeting with a man, usually the man will pay. So there is no equality in terms of buying lunch. So anyway, it's a great honor for me to meet so many women professionals in the rail sector. I must say that I also had the misconception that I thought that the rail sector, especially engineers in the rail sector, are mostly dominated by male. But I didn't know until that you make the request to meet there is such an NGO or such an organization, Women in Rail. So that really set me to meet most of you here. That's why I said that why not we have a luncheon to have this gathering. In fact, this is my second function today on rail-related events. The first function I attended this morning was to officiate the opening of the Abdullah Hukum train station in KL Eco City. And we managed to sort of if I use a more diplomatic word, is convince the developer, if also diplomatic, force the developer to maintain the word Abdullah Hukum for that station, because we have an LRT station there by the name of Abdullah Hukum. They wanted to name that KTM station as KL Eco City. We said that will confuse the public, and we want to maintain the word Abdullah Hukum in that area, so that both stations are now called Abdullah Hukum, both LRT and KTM. Well, I always divide my time equally among all the three major divisions in the ministry. As you know that right now, under the new government, the Ministry of Transport is more coordinated in the transport industries. For the first time in the history of the Ministry of Transport, we have jurisdiction over land public transport. In the past, land public transport is never under the jurisdiction of Ministry of Transport, MOT. We only have jurisdiction over KTM, but we never have jurisdiction over all other modes of rail, including MRT, LRT, and so on. Prasarana, SPAD are all agencies under the PM's department in the past. So in the previous Ministry of Transport's setup, public transport is not part and parcel of the Ministry of Transport. That is the irony in the Malaysian transport sector. But anyway, after the change of government, the first thing that we did, the very first cabinet meeting, I raised up to the Prime Minister and said, "Sir, can I have SPAD under the MOT?" So that's how SPAD came over under MOT. And of course, because of the rationalization of government agencies, we scaled down SPAD from a commission to an agency. So by 1st of January, it will call APAT instead of SPAT. Instead of SPAD, it will call APAD, Agency Pengangkutan Awam Darat. So it's no longer a commission, it will be an agency, a department level under the Ministry of Transport. There will be no commissioner, no commission chairman. It will report directly to the Minister of Transport. But anyhow, it will be more integrated in that sense. And all public transport related functions under APAD, including MRT, LRT, BRT, monorail, everything, including the operator Prasarana, has just been brought over to MOT. So even Prasarana right now reports to the Ministry of Transport. So it's the first time in Malaysian transport history that every public transport agencies are now under the Ministry of Transport. So that is some way that I think is exciting time for public transport in Malaysia. We will be more coordinated. We have a more sort of a more long-term vision. Coming back to rail sectors, of course, it is very important to us. I just want to assure you that don't worry, rail will continue to become one of the most important agenda to develop public transport in this country. So that is something. The future in the rail sector will be bright, because definitely we will need many professionals, we will need many engineers, we will need many people to run our rail sector. Besides KTM, of course, KTM is our most historical, or our major agency in the rail services. But besides KTM, of course, we will continue to build MRT, LRT. Of course, I'm sure recently there's a big hoo-ha about MRT. A lot of people are worried whether they will out of jobs because of the event surrounding the underground package for the MRT2. But that has been settled off. And in fact, just to tell you that we never had the intention to cancel the project, MRT2. What we did is just to cancel that portion and to re-tender it because of cost issues. So I think this government, our agenda and our focus is to cut down costs. It's not to cancel the project. It's never our intention to cancel the underground package. The package has been started, so we have to complete it. But what we did was we wanted a better deal. That's why we cancelled the contract and we want to re-tender the contract. But of course, after that, there's a big hoo-ha. There is some fight of, war of words and so on, a war of media war, social media war, for about a week. But that resulted in a savings of 1.5 billion for the Malaysian taxpayers. So if we have given the public some uncertainties over 1 week, especially to the professionals, please bear in mind that you save the country 1.5 billion. So with that 1 week of uncertainties, I think it's worth it. So 1.5 billion is not a small amount of money. I think it can help a lot in terms of other developments. But I think besides this MRT2 package, MRT3 we are continuing. As far as KTM is concerned, we are committed to complete the double railway track project up to JB, Kemas JB. That is on track. Hopefully that will be completed by 2021. So that will be definitely completed. So once it's completed, then we have all the way from Padang Besar to Johor Bahru double track. So that will be electrified from Padang Besar to all the way to Johor Bahru. And that along that line, it will be, I think it will be very good, I think, in terms of economic development and so on. But what we are going to do in the Ministry of Transport is not just by continuing in terms of promoting the usage of train and rail, but more importantly is we have to create more values along the railway line. That's why I have entrusted RAC to become more active. I've appointed one professional, formerly with SPART, formerly with SPAD, and he works for Pasrana as well, Azhar. He was with Rapid Penang. He is the current GM of RAC, a very dynamic guy. To try to drive RAC, and the way forward is that we want to monetize and we want to make it more commercial viable, to make better deal and more value for RAC, because we have a big land bank along the railway track from Padang Besar up to Johor Bahru. There are many pieces of land that we can have joint ventures, we can develop into TODs, into better stations and so on. We want to have more affordable housing along the railway track to encourage the usage of public transport, to encourage the usage of rail to work and so on. So that is part of the plan, and definitely we are going towards that direction. And one of the initiatives that he has just briefed me yesterday is to set up a management company under RAC, so that we can go for more commercial activities along the railway track, utilizing our land available along the track. As far as KTMB is concerned, definitely KTM has its fair shares of challenges and problems. It's all legacy. I'm sure all of you know. Those who work in KTM, you know that we have a lot of challenges in KTM. Of course, from time to time, we want to improve it. Of course, there are more plans. The Prime Minister has given me a strict instruction to increase the capacity and to increase the usage of KTM. He is always very unhappy with the low utilization of our railway track. Of course, he has been briefed, and our usage is only about 30 to 40% of the railway track, and he has been very unhappy about that. And he went to Japan. He also got a briefing from one of the JR companies. I went with him 2 months ago. So he went to a training center near Fukuoka. He simulated the driving of the high-speed rail. He was excited about it, and he has mentioned to me a few times that the usage of the usage of our railway track must be increased. So that's why we are looking at various models, various options of how to increase the usage of our railway track along our north to south railway track. Besides KTM, of course, in terms of the usage of the urban rail, LRT, MRT, monorail. All this will be part and parcel of the public transport network, and will be continue to be our agenda, and we want to continue to increase the usage. In fact, you will expect some good news tomorrow during the budget, that I'm sure you have heard that we have talked about it, to introduce a monthly pass. Once we introduce a monthly pass, we'll make it more affordable to people. And one of the ways is to change the culture, to change the way people travel. And we really want people to use train to work. We want people to use the LRT, the MRT, the monorail to work, leave their cars at home. So that is one thing that we are trying very hard to push, and definitely we hope that with this initiative, it will help in certain ways. And to make it sustainable for Prasarana, definitely we have to increase the ridership. Right now, the biggest challenge for MRT is very low ridership, and people are questioning. They spend so much money for MRT, but the ridership is only 30% of the capacity. It's only about 120,000 right now a day. Our capacity is about 400,000, 400,000. I mean, if full capacity can go up to 400,000, but we are only hitting 120,000 ridership a day. So one of my main challenge is to increase the ridership. And to increase the ridership, the current infrastructure is already there. You want to expand the network, you want to expand the infrastructure to justify the expansion, then you have to increase ridership. For us, it's very simple. I mean, if we cannot increase the ridership, then we cannot justify the expansion for future projects. As simple as that. In order for us to expand, in order for us to continue to ask for money from MOF to get more LRT and MRT network, then the current usage must be utilized. The current track must be utilized. The current ridership must be increased. And that's where my role is as a Minister of Transport, to encourage people to use public transport. And of course, as politicians, we will have the difference between politicians and engineers. Engineers are all very technical. I mean, I'm sure you are the technical people. You have all the expertise, technical expertise. I don't have the technical expertise. I'm never a science guy. I'm never a technical guy. So in terms of technical capabilities, I will leave it to the professionals to help, to support. But as politicians, what we are good at is to promote our ideas. Because as I told my officials during our retreat, whenever we have retreats at the party level, I remember many years ago, people said, if you are a car seller, if you are a car agent, you sell car. If you are a property agent, you sell your condominium, you sell your houses. What politician sells? Politicians sell dreams. So something very politicians sell hope. It's nothing. You can't see, intangible. It's not a product. It's just a concept. It's just a hope. So, in other words, it's very diplomatic. In other words, that you said politicians are sweet talkers. Politicians can talk. So that's why I think our role as politicians is try to change. And of course, we have some ideas of how to encourage the usage. Number one is make it more affordable. That's where the government comes in terms of giving subsidies, in terms of coming up with the initiative of monthly pass. Secondly is, of course, in terms of how to change the lifestyle, how to change the way. Of course, there are a lot of issues surrounding technical issues, connectivity, last mile connectivity, first mile connectivity. I have a big war right now with the taxi drivers. They want my head. Okay, it's okay. It's part of the challenge being in politics. Then we have challenges of how to connect people, last mile, first mile. We have to make sure our walkways, our pedestrian walkways are better connected and so on. All these are part and parcel of the facilities. But more importantly is how to encourage people. Of course, one way is to make it more affordable, to make it more attractive. Number two, of course, we will rub in some icons and so on to promote. So you will see a better packaging in terms of our real product, in terms of our public transport product. I went to Hong Kong, I went to Singapore, especially in Hong Kong. They all use trim stars to promote their MRT. Along the staircase, along the escalators, from the first steps up to the maximum, the upper steps. Every other steps you will see some pictures of film stars in Hong Kong. I mean, that is the way of promoting. Keep on giving out messages and so on. A lot of advertising space are unused, underutilized. So those are the things that we can monetize. Because for public transport operators to be sustainable, we are very connected. We all sit together every week for a post-cabinet meeting. I think it helps people to connect. We do not work in silos anymore. So respective agencies, they will talk to each other. So we want to integrate more. Between KTM and Prasarana, definitely they need more integration. I'm sure those days between KTM and Prasarana, they don't talk to each other most of the time. Even between KTM and IRSE, I don't think they sometimes interact much. So I think that is a way forward, that we want to have more integration. And I think bottom line is that we want to make public transport as part and parcel of Malaysian life. So of course the first steps is to focus, much of the efforts are focused in Klang Valley, because this is where the catchment areas are. This is where we already have the infrastructure. It's easy for us to promote. But of course later on we want to expand to other places. Of course, you know, as far as rail is concerned, Penang is talking about MOT, even though with a lot of objections from the NGOs. But the Penang government is very adamant of pushing through MOT in Penang. Of course, Johor Bahru also talk about MOT, but of course, I think Johor Bahru, the other options is to have a BRT in the Iskandar region. I think other places, to be more practical, is actually to promote more public buses first instead of rail in some other cities, because of the numbers of users is limited and so on. So I think that just want to conclude, I mean, before we go for Q&A, that I'm sure there are a lot of opportunities for rail sector. So I want to assure you that rail will definitely be part of our main agenda in pushing for public transport development in this country. So I'm sure that with some of these initiatives, but the way forward is we are looking of more private partnership, public-private partnership to develop and expand. But of course, the rail sector is very hard to get private sector to invest, because the returns are very long. I mean, in terms of it's a long-term investment. It's unlike aviation, it's unlike airports. I can easily get private sectors to develop and to put in their money for airports. But for rail, it's a bit hard. But nevertheless, I think this is a lot, especially for urban rail. So with that, I hope that this gives you some assurance that you chose the right path, you chose the right career, that you will continue to have a very bright future for women in rail. Thank you very much.
I'm Hidayah from CMC. I have one main concern here. Okay, since transportation systems are now becoming increasingly connected, so how does this impact on the transportation sector in Malaysia? Since we are connecting not only the rail, also the buses, airplanes, and whatnot. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think
specifically on the IoT and big data, what are the initiatives that you are about to embark in the future?
in terms of integration.
Yes, integration. Yeah, whether or not IoT play roles on that. Yeah, I just want to have your thoughts on that.
Well, of course, I think definitely technology plays a very important role to get the integration. One of the, for example, on KTM, one of the major complaints on KTM right now is the delays. I mean, people do not know how long they have to wait for trains in the station. So this is one major complaint. Very simple things, a very simple complaint. But most of the complaints I receive in my social media is about KTM. Sorry, it's a fact. So I mean, major complaints right now. It's not really their fault, the fault of the management right now, because we are having the rehabilitation of the track. So the track, part of the track has been closed. So certain portion in Klang Valley right now is only single track. We have double track, but only certain portion, only one track can be used for other trains to pass by. So definitely we have delays. I mean, for KTM right now, off-peak frequency is 40 minutes one train. So that is not really encouraging people to use. 40-minute frequency is something in urban rail is very long. But one of the major complaints, people say, I go to the station, I do not know how long I have to wait for trains. So one of the initiatives I told KTM, I told the CEO, I think simple solution, develop an app for people to check when is the next train is coming. Simple things that it can be done very easily, just an app, just a real time, see the next train, when the next train is coming. For example, if the next train is 45 minutes away, then people don't have to go to the station immediately. They can go for coffee, they can go to some shops to spend some time. So to reduce the complaints. So definitely the usage of technology to integrate to public to use it definitely will be enhanced. And we want to encourage more data integration. Of course, I believe that we have to be more transparent. We have to open up our data for people to analyze, for developers, for web applications to be developed, so that for people to plan more. And in terms of payment system, definitely we are going for more cashless. In fact, KTM also have introduced cashless. I was told that this morning they want to do away with all the ticketing machines. They want to go, card and cashless. For urban rail, we are encouraging the usage of my card for payment. So in fact, supposed to announce it next week that one of our initiative is to utilize our my card as a payment system to be part of Touch and Go. And there are a lot of payment systems right now. They came to us to provide solutions and to create a seamless connectivity for people. So when people have to queue up to buy the tickets, you have to go to ticketing machines, queue up for some time for 15-20 minutes. You know, Malaysians do not have the time and patience to queue up. So we want to make it more seamless. We want to make it more better and more simpler for people to use the public transport. And there are a lot of solution providers right now who came to us say that, don't worry, government has no money, we can come up with the capex. I think this is something that we are embarking on. So for example, there is one Visa, for example, they came to us and said, we can install the readers in all the entry, free of charge to the government. We just want to encourage people to use our payment system. So everyone who have a debit card or has a credit card, they don't have to buy ticket. You don't even have to top up a Touch and Go. So just use your debit card. Everyone have a debit card right now, I'm sure, or credit card. Just use a credit card, debit card to pay for your 2 ringgit 50 cents train ticket. There you go. So those are the things that we definitely we will continue to enhance. We are open and we want to open up our sectors. So I think in the past that some of the operators are very close approach. Everything have to be done in-house. Everything outside, they do not want to encourage. But I think it's time for us to have to integrate with other operators, with other solution providers, and that's where I think we want to have better connectivity and also easier for public to use it.
My name is Sheila. I am actually from Express Railing. Now, as a private company, I think most of the time we are like a stepchild because Yang Berhormat mentioned in your speech all MRT, Prasarana, etc. But IRL is a private company. Okay, you're just doing your own thing. It's heartening to hear that Yang Berhormat spoke about opportunities with private companies, visa, smart solution providers, etc. As a matter of fact, IRL was actually the first one accepting a visa contactless again back in 2010. Today we have visa, we're partnering with GrabPay, we're partnering with Boost to accept mobile wallets, and we're doing a lot of things. We have online sales even. But I think these are efforts on our own that we have to do because as a private company we're not funded by the government, and even the KLIA2 project, as you recall, a long time ago was also under fire. But a lot of things we did on our own, and we definitely need government support to, as what Yang Berhormat mentioned, to increase the ridership. And I think we need to talk regularly with APAT and future with MOT to get things going, not just for profit purpose, but to get people to use the airport transport. I think here I would like to know how we can get more support from MOT in terms of moving forward, not just to get ridership, but also to move forward. We talk about digital transformation. I believe in the budget tomorrow there probably will be an announcement on online sales tax. So how would that help as a public transport to move forward, to get more things done on our own and together with them? Thank you.
Okay. of course, ERL is we have a long-term concession for ERL. I think that is, of course, to some people, they think that is a very good deal for ERL too, because of the long concession period. Of course, I think moving forward, we are open to suggestions and proposals from private operators of how to work together. It's not that we only focus on GLCs, we sidestep or we just ignore the private operators. For one, we believe that we need the private operators, we need the private sectors to play a more active role as the engine of growth. Because I think the government itself cannot do everything. The government itself cannot solve all the problems. We need the private sectors. And right now is the high time and the best time, and what we will call Malaysia Incorporate 2.0, privatization program 2.0. Tun Mahathir has introduced privatization in the 90s successfully. Of course, that changed the landscape of the country's economy. That brought the country to another level. But I think right now is the 2.0 version, and we are looking at opening up many of our sectors and infrastructure projects, even some strategic assets to the participation of private sectors. Definitely, we are open to inputs from the private sectors. We want the private sectors to be the driver. The ministries will play a more facilitation role. That we want to facilitate economic growth. We want to facilitate public projects. But at the end of the day, we also want the private sectors to put in the money, because we believe that if the private sector can invest, first of all, that will help the economic growth. And secondly, it will create more jobs. And thirdly, we think that in terms of efficiency, it will be better because you have competition from other providers and so on. So definitely, in terms of private operators, we will want to work together closely. And if ERL has any specific proposals, feel free to talk to MOT or talk to our regulators. We are open to work together. In fact, there are many ways that we can work together in terms of more integration, in terms of giving convenience to the public. I think one of the major issues that we have to solve is how to create a more seamless and more integrated services. The moment you land at the airport, you can take an ERL to KL Central to, the last destination that a person wants to go. So I think all this integration in terms of giving connectivity and also convenience to the public or traveler, that is our top priority. So in terms of how to work together, we are open. If you have any specific proposals, if you ask me offhand right now, I can't give you an answer what we can offer, but I think we are open to suggestions from the operators.
Salam hormat, my name is Bal. I'm actually firstly thank you for the woman of Rail for inviting me, the man from bus. Okay. Right. You mentioned about the increasing of ridership of rail. Okay. Maybe to increase the ridership of rail, you need the assistance from bus, because if you need to cater people from their home, it's usually the bus the best way to do it. Okay, to bring them to the nearest station. Okay, my concern is I'm actually doing marketing for the bus. Okay.
Can you declare which bus company?
Rapid, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. What I'm facing right now is we are facing some smaller companies who are giving very low rate. Okay, which means it's very difficult for us to go in. We are trying our best, but we can't decrease our price, our rates. Okay, so is there a possibility if MOT can actually speak to MOF to get all the government ministries and the agency to actually patronize our bus services for their shuttle or their charter services?
Well, to answer your questions, when I meet the private bus companies, that precisely their complaints. You government fund everything your GLCs, then the private operators tak boleh cari makan. The private bus companies are not subsidized. The government is giving all the support to GLCs, to Rapid, to Prasarana, but private operators cannot survive. So that is from their angle, from their perspective. What is the way forward? Of course, I've also been very serious discussion with the top management of Prasarana. In fact, I just had a meeting with them yesterday. So to talk about how to reorganize the bus routes and so on. We want to create a more harmony situation. I think right now in KL, a lot of places where you need buses don't have buses. Some of the buses, of course, is creative. A lot of operators there going for the same group of people, but some other areas no one servicing. So I think we have to look at the overall picture of how to ensure services covers all places, and to carve out some of the zones. And one of the suggestions that we are looking at is to carve out a few zones that different operators can cover different zones. Then you don't have to compete among each other. What we want is better services and better connectivity for the people. You're right, of course, in order for us to support the rail, in order for us to utilize the rail infrastructure, you need the buses. That's why we are investing on feeder buses. But I told Prasarana, you buy the big buses, sometimes you cannot cover the taman. Get the small vans, get the small coaches, cover more areas. You need a 60 person capacity bus to check in 10-20 people. It's a waste of resources. So those are the things that we are looking at. We will talk with Prasarana. Hopefully that in a few months' time we can have a new model for KL buses.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please.
My name is Laila from my HSR Corp. So I have two questions. First question is regarding about the idea of having a new national car. So I believe that having this will increase the number of car, and also we will have a problems of traffic congestion. At the same time, I afraid if the number of ridership for the public transportation will reduce. So what is the idea from the MOT to make sure that we can solve the problems of traffic congestion, and also at the same time we want to increase the ridership for the public transportation? And my second question is regarding about, we know that most of the rail project in Malaysia have been deferred, postponed, and some of it have been cancelled. So we want to know, as the staff and as the people who work in the rail industry, we want to know about what is the guarantee and what is the idea for the government to make sure that our career path is not being left behind. So because we have a lot of skills and also expertise here, so I believe that MOT should have that. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. As far as HSR is concerned, I think the government has made a very clear direction that we are not cancelling the project as of now. We are postponing the decision. On HSR, we have reached an agreement with the Singapore government that give us some room until 2020. By first half of 2020, then both governments will come to a conclusion of the way forward for HSR. I'm sure why you know why the reason why behind it is we want some rooms that we do not have to commit to too much financial implications at this point of time. But I think in terms of the staff career path and so on, I'm sure there are many opportunities around. Even though there are some projects being cancelled, but not all cancels. I mean, if you can name me, I mean, yeah, 1 or 2 cancels right now. HSR has been postponed. RTS we are continuing. I mean, JB Singapore. Of course, we still have to close the agreement between the Malaysian side and the Singapore side. We have not reached that yet. Double track is ongoing. ECRL is, of course, right now is still no clear direction yet. Of course, we know that there are some ongoing discussions going on between Malaysian side and the Chinese government. I think in terms of public transports, in terms of your expertise, it can be utilized. I mean, if even 1 or 2 specific projects being cancelled, I'm sure there are other opportunities around. I'll give you an example of SPAD. When we dissolve SPAD, of course, there are a lot of worries also. I had a town hall session with them. Many of them, of course, are disappointed. It's natural. That they say that we have built our experience in the last few years in SPAD, good professionals, very good expertise, but are they going to be wasted? Are they going to end their career? And I said, no. Number one, of course, the government wants to absorb most of them. In fact, all of them, we are offering them in other agencies within the Ministry of Transport. Of course, in terms of pay, it's a bit lower. That is some pengorbanan that Tun has mentioned that we have to face. In terms of pay, of course, we cannot pay the same rate as previously. But For example, RAC is very underdeveloped. RAC only has about less than 50 staff and is a huge organization. In fact, it's one of the most, I would say, cash-rich and brand-rich organizations within the government. We are sitting on easily 50 billion land bank. But it's underdeveloped, only 50 staff. We are looking big on how to develop RAC. As I said, mentioned just now, we are looking at establishing our management core, our operating core, and so on. So there are a lot of opportunities within these organizations that we can rock in, all the expertise, all the talents that we have around the industry. So I just want to reassure that I think Malaysian government or the Malaysian economy is strong enough to absorb all the expertise and the talents. In fact, I think the local talents will be appreciated, and I'm sure you will have a better career path. And don't worry about that. I think we will continue to make sure that the environment is good enough for everyone to expand and to extend their career in the public transport sector. Just now about what are the other, how to reduce congestions, right? To encourage public transport. Of course, that is the hardest part, the biggest challenge for any transport minister. And I believe in the carrot and stick approach. Of course, if I use the stick first, then I'll be on a chopping block. The public won't buy it. We will try to use the carrot approach first. That's why we are trying to be more affordable, make it more affordable for people to use public transport. Of course, the harder part will be coming up with a congestion fee, putting tax on people who come to the city and so on. There are a lot of proposals. There are a lot of implementation elsewhere. We can look at. But of course, if I say that right now openly, immediately people will jump. Without giving the solutions, you are already talking about tax, more taxes and so on. So we are not going to do that right now. We are not going to entertain the idea of putting a congestion tax or what do you call that? Impose a surcharge for people who travel into the cities during the peak hours. Simply because we understand and we know that people sometimes do not have options, alternative. We have to provide options first before we can talk about imposing the surcharge. That's why we are trying to make it more affordable, trying to entice people, trying to encourage people to use public transport, to make it as affordable as possible and make it as simple as possible for them to travel by public transport before we talk about other measures. So I think no simple solutions. We are just going to try new initiative, and hopefully that more people will transfer to public transport and reduce congestions in KL especially. Of course, we are disappointed in the sense that MRT has been there for at least 1 or 2 years right now. But in terms of traffic jam in KL, there is no difference compared to 2 years ago without MRT. So that is, I think, something that we really have to look at and how to utilize our current infrastructure. Okay, yeah, take one more.
Thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate that. I'm Shanti Ramaya from Rail Sdn Berhad, and actually I'm from my hometown is from Penang, so my question is basically regarding the LRT. Anyway, we'd like to give a big applause to the government for the effort in promoting railroad transportation in Malaysia. Whereas, I mean, it will be good for us to keep us busy for coming years. As YB, you already mentioned about the Penang LRT, you know. Give an example as Singapore, which is almost the size of the same of Penang, which is massively developed in terms of the railroad transportation. So as a transport minister and government, will it be taking Singapore as a role model to implement the LRT in Penang, despite all the protests for the betterment of the socio and economy of Malaysia? That was my question. And last not least, thanks for the opportunity to be in the parliament here. Really appreciate that.
The question was whether Penang would use Singapore as a role model.
Will we implement LRT in the Penang,
Okay, sure.
despite all the protests?
Okay.
Thank you.
Number one, the Penang LRT model is part and parcel of the initiative under the Penang Transport Master Plan, PTMP, which they started when we were still in the opposition at the federal level. So that has been started a few years back. And the LRT project, the proposal was to be funded within their own resources. that is the land swap, building a new island, reclaiming a new island to pay for that LRT. So when they pay for it, I mean, it's not our call whether to implement LRT or otherwise. So it is the Penang State government. As I always mention, this particular decision is the decision of the Penang State government. The role of the federal government as far as Ministry of Transport is concerned, because whenever they want to build an LRT, they have to apply the railway scheme. Then the Railway Act is under SPAD. So they need to get approval, technical approval, the license from SPAD. So as far as Ministry of Transport is concerned, we are just only the regulator to give the license. If they have fulfilled all the conditions, then they can go ahead. But of course, the Penang State government has time and again make it publicly that their intention is to build LRT. The NGOs over there have been criticizing the move. They wanted tram instead of LRT because they said it's more affordable, it's more cheaper, it's more environmental friendly for tram to be built in Penang instead of LRT. But of course, the Penang government is looking for longer term, looking for more ridership, and one of the major concern is that because a lot of areas in Penang are flood-prone area, so if they build tram, you do not solve the problem of floods. If they are flooded, then the trams are out of service. But that's why they want to build above, and LRT is still the best option for the Penang government. So as far as I'm concerned, the decision lies in the Penang State government. So for them, it is for them to face the public, it is for them to face the Penang people. If they decided to go ahead with LRT, and as long as they fulfill the conditions, then we do not have a problem with that. Okay.
Hello, YB and everyone. My name is Amy. I'm from Prasarana. My question is about ICP programs. What are your thoughts on the ICP programs under TDA? Does it really helps in economic and human capital growth in terms of technology and knowledge transfer?
ICP mean the
Industrial Collaboration Program, the one that, for example, the one in Batu Gajah, if I'm not mistaken, the one a company from China share their knowledge and the technology with us. What are your thoughts on that? Does it really have impact on the human capital development and economic growth for Malaysia, especially for young?
Well, number one, of course, we are open to working together with other countries in terms of technology transfer, in terms of previously, I mean, not only to provide technology transfer, it's more for funding. I think to be very practical, to be very honest, I think most of the deals with China is partly because of the funding available, the funding facilities, and make it easier for us to embark on the project. And I think we have to be practical sometimes. If we need to cooperate with other countries, I think we still have to be practical about that. Of course, we hope that there will be more technology transfer. We want to build up our own capacity. I think what is important is that we are a very open country. I mean, even in this room, we have some friends from other countries who participate in our local sectors. We are open about that. I think we have to be practical. But I think more importantly is for Malaysians to learn, to get the expertise, so that we can build up our own capacity. Of course, the vision of the government, especially our Prime Minister, is always that he envisions why he is so adamant about the third national car project, is that he wants our people to master the skills of science and technology. He wants more engineers. He wants more Malaysian engineers. He wants more local capacities and more local expertise to be built. I mean, as he said back in 1990, I remember when he embarked on the Vision 2020, I was still in secondary school. The contoh karangan that we always say, kita tak nak menjadi pengguna sahaja, kita nak menjadi pereka, pencipta dalam bidang sains. We do not just want to be users, we want to be creators, we want to be engineers, we want to be innovators. Instead of just usage of technology, we want to be innovators of technologies. So I think that is a vision. That's why I said I think in terms of building up the capacity, it's important that we learn from the best, we learn from other countries, but it's also upon Malaysians that we have to back up, we have to have the stamina, and we have the determination to learn from the best and build up our own capacity. So I think that is something that is beneficial, is we can utilize it in a good way.
Maybe I'll just check your schedule permits one or two more questions.
Sure, no problem.
We have a question here.
from MRT. MRT, as you know, Line 2 has, thank you very much for your prudent action. I think Malaysians love you for that. But just now you mentioned about the carrot and stick. To increase ridership, you have to encourage people to go in, right? And use the MRT. But why is it that one of the things that's been cut off when you do the cost exercising, cost cutting, is to omit the MSPR and change it to, MSPR means multi-story parking, and then all the walkways that we propose to encourage people, the walkability, that also has been chopped off. But in the political right way to say it is being deferred. For now, it's being chopped off. So how do you expect that, the carrot and stick?
Okay. Number one, in terms of the cost of rationalization and to negotiate, it's all MOF costs. It's not MOT. So I'm not passing the buck. I mean, if we are from the same party, of course, the call is from MOF. Look at it. But in terms of multi-story car parks and so on, it's not every car park is fully utilized. I think. It's not every car park. I checked with SPAD.
But that's a carrot and stick thing,
Yeah,
right?
I know. But currently, even the current facilities, it's not every car park is fully utilized.
Have you seen Kajang? It's always
Yes,
fully
Kajang is, of course, I mean, that is a good example.
Sungai Buloh is all.
Yeah, but you take the extreme example where the fully utilized, but there are some who are underutilized also. I'm asking SPAD to give me all the details. I'm asking Prasarana also to give me all the details. Which are the car parks? I mean, I am a very detailed person. I mean, whenever I ask for details, I say go to up to the most detailed data. Car parks, how many car park bays do you have? How many utilize every day? Some people, of course, they complain. We have the multi-story car parks. Of course, all the people who go to office, who use MRT to go to office, all the car parks are full by 8 o'clock. But after that, you discourage other people to use because the car parks are not available. I mean, that is some of the complaints also. But of course, multi-story car parks are important and part and parcel. But I think we also have other options. Building car parks is, of course, it's expensive also. Right? We are, of course, looking for other options also. Feeder bus and other operators to get people to leave their cars at home, if possible. Okay, that is one of the options that we are looking at. So I think there is no yes and no answer to that. Of course, some have to go. Some, I mean, if you want to reduce the cost, then certain things have to be sacrificed, certain things have to be chopped, certain things have to be reduced in terms of scope. But as far as station is concerned, I think they have done studies. Whichever station that have been deferred is those which have lower ridership in the projection. So only those with lower projections that we are deferring the stations. But we still open up that possibility that in future we can put the stations there. So I think that consideration is there, and the design is as such that if in future we decided we have the capacity to build in that particular station or to build car parks there, I think it's still available. I think that is what I thought that we'll be discussing in the cabinet. So I'm not sure whether you are satisfied with that answers, but okay, and the future expression is not satisfied, but it's okay. I'm trying just to not just trying to justify, but that is a fact. Of course, if we want, if we can, of course. The easiest way is that we maintain everything. Of course, I mean, being the Minister of Transport, we want to maintain all the features.
Cost-cutting measures, it's cost deferment, right? That's being exercised today in MRT.
Yeah, of course, there is a consideration. So cost deferment, because right now, the simple answer to that is because we cannot afford it right now. If in future we can afford it, then we can come back to that. But simply right now, because we cannot afford it, and we have to control the debts. So there are a lot of balancing act that we need to do, and unfortunately we are inheriting a new government that with a lot of debts. It's not something that we hope for, but that is the fact, and we just have to live with it. We just have to manage it, and of course there are some cuts which will not be popular, which will be positive, but something that we have to make some hard decisions on that. So please understand the predicament that we are in. Okay, there are some other questions, right?
One last one.
I saw over here
from the private sector, Global Rail Center Berhad. We are engineering company set up locally in Malaysia. We believe very much in the business on the railway. For the next 10-20 years, I'm sure there's still much more to come. Right? 10 years ago I say the same thing, but now I say next 10-20 years, for the railway side is a lot to come. And for people-wise, human capital development, there is a lot of opportunity. But for private sector to develop this together, in partnership with the government, we need to have a steady business from the government, meaning lining up with projects, whether every 2 years, every 1 year, or whatever, so that we can see it very clearly. And then the next one is then in terms of business for SME. We are a small company. We start from scratch, zero. A multinational company or GLC locally here. So we have not got the opportunity over the last 10 years to actually bid for the project on a smaller scale. All right, I started 10 years ago. We are lucky, we did bid for a business. We get it directly from the government. We have performed and we have delivered. But after that, we have no more, all big projects. So I would request that the government to look at how to get into smaller package. If we talk about project management, we locally also can build it up. We do not need to have people like having big projects, GLC, but employing PDB, employing all the foreigners. We local are not given the opportunity. How many big companies with big projects have really give opportunity to local? Zero. We started off training fresh graduates. We bring in fresh graduates, we pay them, and we build them. And today I'm happy with IRSE. I brought them in also as well, initial group. And they are all here now. So I wanted to grow this bigger as well. But we have to be given the opportunity as a local SME. And also the next thing is then in terms of technology-wise. Been working in the railways for the last 20, 30 years. I'm surprised we are even going backward in terms of technology. I'm not sure if YB been briefed enough of the situation, especially in terms of in KTMB, going backward in terms of technology. And then the second thing is that in MRT, cost cutting, just now we talked about. They're even talking about cutting away the APG, PST, platform swindle. That was also being brought up. We are a contractor for MRT2 as well, in the signaling side. So that's it.
Okay. So it's not a question. Thank you. Anyway, we are doing away with the PDP model. I'm sure you know that PDP model is out, and some of the projects we are calling for retendering, and we are considering to break up some of the bigger projects into smaller packages, so that to create more opportunities. But of course, under the new government, there will be no direct negotiation. So you will not get anything directly from the ministers or from the government. So everything we have to compete, we have to tender. We want to get the best value and the best companies to provide the best solutions and services. So I think in terms of capabilities and capacities, we have to really go for the best. And I think that is the way forward. To manage it very well, and I'm sure, as you said, given the right opportunities, given the fair opportunities to everyone, I'm sure our Malaysian companies can also get the projects because based on our own capacity. I'm sure over the last 20, 30 years, there are local companies who are well-versed, who have equipped themselves, who have the capacity, and some already have even get projects elsewhere, not only in Malaysia but elsewhere as well. Even the real projects, I know there are a few companies who do signaling and so on. They got projects in other ASEAN countries, in India, and somewhere else. That's why I think we will try to give as much opportunities as possible to our Malaysian companies. But to our foreign friends here, I mean, please don't be slighted. Please don't feel that you are being discriminated. I think as I mentioned just now, we are a very open country. We have to live in this world that I think we have to learn from each other. We are dependent on each other. I think we will continue to work together and remain as a very open country to everyone to contribute to the betterment of Malaysia. I think if there are no more further questions, I just want to...
Sorry, I was just told there's one last question
Okay,
on human
please.
capital specifically,
Alright.
which is quite important.
Have to be ended by a lady who asked, because this is honor for women. This.
Hi, my name is Riza. I'm from Ansaldo, soon to be known as Hitachi Rail. I've been in the industry since 1992, working with Datuk Saleh on the original Klang Valley double track. So my advice to young engineers: get yourself a supporting husband. Wouldn't call you in the middle of the night asking how to change diapers, because I've been there. Now, on the human capital development, as part of the founding member of IRSE, we have actually conducted several classes as well. So I have actually helped in carrying out these classes. Now, on the question of what we call it, training the locals, these two tables, we are from Ansaldo. We are from, so basically I am one of the computer trainer. Now the issue is some of the system supplier, they think that signaling is not secret, but this is where I'm getting from. In order for you to train up young engineers, you don't have to go overseas, you see. All you have to do is make sure that you train the trainer, like myself, and then after that, we will train up the rest. So the product is these two tables. And on top of that, of course, we need your support, especially for the getting the licenses for the IRSE. I share Datuk Salih's concern. It is very expensive. It costs us around 6,000 to 10,000 easily. So it would be good if you can work with HRDF to get that money out, so that they can pay, for the licensing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. IRSE came to see me as well. I think we have discussed some of the issues, some of the licensing issues, some of the support that MOT can give. Of course, whatever way that we can help, I'm sure we are willing, very much willing to help. And IRSE will continue to get in touch with us. On HRDF, of course, we have to talk to the Ministry of Human Resources. But as far as we are concerned, we have no problem of supporting that position. So, of course, we know that in order for us to have a sustainable, good service, good public transportation services, we need to train up our people, not just as engineers, but also as technicians to maintain. I think the level of maintenance is very important. The culture of maintenance is very important. I think a lot of places right now, even in the railway services, maintenance is one major issue as well that we have to really look into because of breakdowns, or some of the problems, technical problems faced by our operators. Maintenance is one major issue that we really have to give a lot of attention to, because if we cannot maintain well, then our infrastructure cannot last long. So I think that is something that we appreciate, and definitely we will try our best to give whatever support that we can at the MOT level. But if there's anything that is cross-ministry, that I can talk to the ministers, the respective ministers myself, especially that human resources, no problem. It's just sat next to me in cabinet. So whatever letters you need to pass to the ministers, you can go through me. It's okay. Then we will give our support. Okay, thank you. So lastly, if there are no more questions, I just want to say thank you once again to everyone. I just want to end on my speech to say that we are a party where we really appreciate the women. We appreciate the capacity and the capabilities of women. As you see, among the DAP members of cabinet, 1/3 of our members of cabinet are women. We have 2 out of 6, 1/3. So we know that in terms of capabilities, there are no difference between men and women in any fields. So it's really, I really hope that we can see more women professionals, especially in the rail sector. And for your information, I've just appointed one of our female staff as the acting general manager of Penang Port Operations. So women also can head the port operations. It's a very male-dominated area, but I have appointed a new GM, a new acting GM, hopefully can be GM later on, acting GM as the Penang Port. So to show that we walk our talk and we want to empower women to head more operations and to head more agencies in the Ministry of Transport. Thank you very much to all. The government has made a very clear direction that we are not cancelling the project as of now. We are postponing the decision. HSR, we have reached an agreement with the Singapore government that give us some rope until 2020. By first half of 2020, then both governments will come to a conclusion of the way forward for HSR. I'm sure why you know why the reason why behind it is we want some rooms that we do not have to commit to too much financial implications at this point of time. But I think in terms of the staff career path and so on, I'm sure there are many opportunities around. Even though there are some projects being cancelled, but not all cancelled. I mean, if you can name me, I mean, yeah, 1 or 2 cancels right now. HSR has been postponed. RTS we are continuing. I mean, JB Singapore. Of course, we still have to close the agreement between the Malaysian side and the Singapore side. We have not reached that yet. Double track is ongoing. ECRL is, of course, right now still no clear direction yet. Of course, we know that there are some ongoing discussions going on between the Malaysian side and the Chinese government. I think in terms of public transports, in terms of your expertise, it can be utilized. I mean, if even 1 or 2 specific projects we cancel, I'm sure there are other opportunities around. I give you an example of SPAD. When we dissolve SPAD, of course, there are a lot of worries as well. I had a town hall session with them. Many of them, of course, are disappointed. It's natural. And they say that we have built our experience in the last few years in SPAD, good professionals, very good expertise, but are they going to be wasted? Are they going to end their career?